was told to say Rashi Sicha, but I feel... Let's go all over the Parsha. This week's Parsha is Vayeitzei. It speaks that Yaakov had to run away from his brother Esav, and he left Beersheba and he came to Choron. Then we find that he came to Har HaMoriah, and he davened over there, and he had his dream of the great ladders, that the malachim are going up and the malachim are coming down. And Hashem promised him that he'll protect him and he'll get back home. So then he makes a vow that if everything will be good, and Hashem will give me clothes and food, and I'll come back. So therefore this stone will be the matzeva, and he'll bring here kabbanot. And then we go through Yaakov meeting Rachel and Leah. He works very hard for Lavan, for his father-in-law, and then we have the problem of a father-in-law with a son-in-law in business. Until Yaakov has almost all the Shvatim in Choron, 11 of the 12, with the daughter Dinah. Now he makes his way back, and Reuven is running after him till they make a covenant, and they make this pile of stones to separate Lavan and Yaakov. That is the basic of the Parsha, right? So now we have to understand, what do I have to know about this Parsha, what happened with Yaakov over 3,500 years ago, and he had to run away, and how he davened, and he made, and how he had to deal with Lavan and coming back. What is it practical for us today? And not every story about Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov is mentioned in Torah. So anytime when something's mentioned in Torah story, there has to be a lesson for us. What is this lesson for us? So the Rebbe explains like this. The Chaim HaKadosh writes that this Parsha of Vayeitzei, of Yaakov going to Choron, represents every Jew. Every Jew is this Yaakov. Yaakov leaves Be'er-Sheva, Eretz Yisrael. Be'er-Sheva was where Yitzchak and Avimelech made an oath, a well. And he comes to Choron, where Choron is called Choron, where Rashi says, Charein Av Shel Olam, in Noach. Over there is the anger of Hashem. It's not as such a pleasant place as he was by Yitzchak. And Yaakov now has to struggle. So the Chaim HaKadosh explains this is how the neshama comes down to the world. The neshama starts from Be'er Sheva. What means Be'er Sheva? Sheva is Lashon Shvuah, oath. If anyone learned one chapter of Tanya, Tanya starts off, in the end of the third chapter of Niddah, it says, before neshama comes down to the world, they make the neshama take an oath. I'll be a tzaddik and not to be a rasha. I'll be righteous and I won't be a rasha. And the whole Tanya, the first part of Tanya, is based on what is a tzaddik, what is a benini, what is a rasha, and so forth. So now the question is, why does neshama have to swear that it should be a tzaddik? Neshama wants to be a tzaddik. So who is swearing? Is the neshama's godly soul? The godly soul wants to be a tzaddik. Is it the animal soul, or you'll say the Yetzer Hara, the Yetzer Hara don't want to be no tzaddik, believe me. He not taking no oath. So what is this oath all about? So we find a Gemara where it says, Mashbiyan l'kaimas ha-mitzvahs. A person could take an oath that he will do a mitzvah. Now the question is, what means I take an oath that I'm going to do a mitzvah? I'm sworn by Har Sinai to do a mitzvah. It's because sometimes we struggle, and we feel that we won't be able to accomplish it. So when we take an oath, it gives us a push. Whatever will happen, I am going to have to do it because I took a shvur. I made an oath. Same thing. The neshama upstairs wants to do what Hashem wants. But when the neshama comes down to this world, it's a whole different ballgame. There's an expression that neshama in Gan Eden alekus bipshitus v'olemis b'eschatshus. Godliness is simple. Understands godliness, sees glory of Hashem, and so forth. You speak about this physical world, that there's money, and there is coffee, there's cake, there's pizza, and there's a car, and there's an internet. Don't know what you're talking about. When Neshama comes down to this world, understands what the world is about. Now to explain about godliness, then this is something which is new. They say a story that two neshamas were meeting. One is descending and one is ascending, and they meet on the road. So one says to the other, what's the most important thing in this world? They're sending me down into this world. She says, the most important thing in this world is to make money. She says, why do you have to make money? Because if you make money, then you can give tzedakah, you can buy tefillin, you can do education, you can do so many Torah mitzvahs. If you don't have money, you're stuck. So the Shema says, okay, the job is to make money. The guy says, wait 1 minute. I'll say it in Yiddish. Before you'll make the first dollar, you'll pass out. There's a struggle. So the neshama has to have the strength to overcome it. So Chassidus explains that shvur is lashon seveya. With the oath, we'll take shvur is with a shin, seveya is with a sin. That with the oath, Hashem satisfies, gives the power to the neshama to be able to do what we're supposed to. Also the level of shiva, Shiva 7. There are 7 emotions which we have. Kindness, strictness, compassion. So Hashem gives the power to the neshama in all 7 aspects of the neshama that it should be a tzaddik. That's where the neshama Shiva. Now neshama comes out into this world, it's choron. It's opposite what the Eibishter, it's not Gan Eden. You are in Golus, you are in a world where the world is not going normally how Hashem really wants it to go. There's free will. So before the neshama comes into choron, it passes the Beis Hamikdash. As the Yaakov passed Har Moriah, the same thing Beis Hamikdash upstairs. Because a tefillah, Hashem promises, I'll help you, comes down now into this world. Has to deal with Lavan. Lavan was the biggest politician. He calls himself Lavan, I'm white, I'm clear, I'm a straight shooter. He's such a sly thief. He cheated Yaakov 100 times. And Yaakov, living in that confinement, he has to now not lose himself and be strong as he's supposed to, and get married, have children, and educate the children the way how his father Yitzchak wants him to educate and Hashem wants him to educate. But it's a world. It's not by Yitzchak. It's not in Eretz Yisrael. You're not in an environment where mitzvahs are easy and averos are very hard. You're going to a place which is the opposite. To do everything negative, that's the normal. To do something right, that's the hard case. Yaakov has to be strong. So the Medrash says, what did Yaakov say? The question is, what means Yaakov said? Yaakov worked for 20 years by Lavan, and as we find in the Parsha, he said, I worked for 20 years, 14 years for your 2 daughters, 6 years afterwards, and with my whole strength, every day and night, That's what he was doing. But we have to understand that Yaakov was a tzaddik. So what was he staying by Lavan's house and just to accumulate wealth? So we have to say there was something more than that. And the question is, it says he was strong, mem'oid me'oid. And Yaakov didn't lose his learning and everything. Because working by Lavan, Yaakov went out of a yeshiva, went into the world, but there was a purpose. The sheep of Lavan, what Lavan could have used for idol worshipping, came now to Yaakov. So it's called Bira Hanitzutzus, elevated the sparks of godliness which there is in the sheep of Lavan and brought it into holiness. That means everything in this world lives off from Hashem. There's nothing in this world but just lives off on itself. With the 10 utterances Hashem created the world, with those 10 utterances that Alter Rebbe explains in the second part of Tanya, Shayichud V'Emunah, that everything in the world has a connection to one of those 10 utterances. And everything has a spark of godliness. Because if it wouldn't have a spark of godliness, it wouldn't exist. So when Hashem said, Yehi Rakia, let there be a heaven, so the Baal Shem Tov explains that the words Yehi Rakia is now standing in the heavens and giving now life to the heaven. And if that force would be removed, there's no heaven. That means everything what we see is really living off God. It's the Asarim Amoris. We don't see it. So what is the world? The world is really tricking us. It's false. The world is saying we are a whole being. Really, the world's being is no entity. The whole thing is only revealing Hashem's power. So we're living in a world which is false. Not only to deal with crooked people like Lavan, but when the world is screaming to us that I'm here, really your whole being is not a being for its entity for itself. Your whole being is because Hashem is giving you now life. So life of Hashem is not only for the person who lives, or an animal that lives, or you see the life of Hashem in a tree or something that grows. Life of Hashem is in a rock, in water. Because there has to be a spark of Hashem giving it life. If it's not, wouldn't give it life, it would disappear. It wouldn't be here. So what is the job of Yaakov, of a Jew? The neshama comes from Gan Eden, from Be'er-Sheva, into this world to call Bira Hanitzutzis, to gather those sparks of godliness which there is in the world and connect it to Hashem. Right? So what is our job? We are a bunch of environmentalists. Taking the world, which is filthy, which doesn't see godliness, and purifying it, elevating it. The previous Rebbe, when he came to America, he started a campaign of saying Mishnayos by heart to purify the air, to bring holiness in the air of the world. Because any time when we say a pasuk or something, we are bringing godliness where it is. Do we feel it? A tzaddik feels it. We don't feel it. And there's a reason for it. Tell a story, 2 stories of the Rebbe Rashab, the 5th Lubavitch Rebbe. One time the 5th Lubavitch Rebbe went with his son in Paris, holy city Paris, right? And walking down the street, he said, I feel some Kedusha here. He picked it up. Most probably a Jew had to daven mincha, so he stopped over here in a corner of the street and davened the mincha. A second time, he stopped there and he said, it's not maybe, for sure it happened. Now there's a million people passing, no one feels it, but a tzaddik picks up that feeling, something which is touched of Kedusha. Because when a person makes a bracha, wherever we are, we draw godliness into the space where we did that mitzvah, or in the object. There is another story that someone one time asked the Rebbe Rashab. They were going on a vacation called Dacha. They used to go with a wagon, 2 horses, and they went out. And the person kept Torah mitzvahs, but he said, we speak about angels. I never saw an angel. My father never saw an angel. My grandfather never saw an angel. What is the belief that those angels? So the Rebbe Rashab told him like this: we are driving to a certain place because we want to go a little rest, get out of the city. They asked once the Rebbe that all the Rabbeim used to go out of Lubavitch, like summertime, and they used to have like a bungalow somewhere in a shtetl. Why doesn't the Rebbe take a vacation? So the Rebbe answered, it used to be that the Chassidim used to be in the town, and the Rebbe went out. But now everyone is running out of New York, it's hot. So everyone is going to the bungalow, so someone has to do the work. So I have to stay. The Rebbe said, I have to stay in the city, do the work, because everyone is not here. No one is here. The Rebbe never took a day of vacation. So there are 3 thoughts. The purpose of our trip is to accomplish what we're supposed to, where we're going. The wagon driver, his thought is the purpose of the trip is I'll make money. Taxi driver. What does the horse think? Why is he going? Why is he going 50 miles away from where he is? Because he's thinking that there's no hay, a good hay, or whatever. And 50 miles later, there is some good some food, what he can have, his hay and whatever. So he said, if the horse is thinking the whole time about hay, doesn't mean that our trip is only about hay. The trip has something else. What does it mean for us? We have a godly soul. That's the smart fellow. We have a wagon. That's the body. We have a horse that was running the body, what's called an animal soul. So the animal soul thinks the whole time about hay, about food, and about... That doesn't mean that my whole coming into this world was for the food and for the hay. The purpose is something more. And this is what we have to deal with, that the neshama should be able to overcome and to have focus on what am I here for. And that's the strength, what the neshama, Hashem gives the neshama before it comes down into this world. So Yaakov, being by Lavan, had to be very strong. So everything what he learned at home and learned in 14 years of Shem Vayeitzei, had to now bring it out, the strength, so strong that he won't budge. So the Medrash asks, Ma ha'yomer, what did Yaakov say? What means, what did Yaakov say? What kept him focused? How did he get the strength? So he says, he said the book of Tehillim. It says, V'yata Kodesh, you the Holy One, Yeshiv, you sit to Hilas Yisrael, what Yisrael praise you, and who's Yisrael? Yaakov was called Yisrael. And the other opinion is that Yaakov said the 15 Shir Hamalos with the iron Tehillim. Shir Hamalos, Yemen or Yisrael. Yaakov, I love it, was saying these 15 Shir Hamalos. What is the 15 Shir Hamalos? Yaakov, Ma'ayin Yaveh Ezri, from where will my help come? Yaakov was saying. Ezri Mim Hashem, my help is from Hashem. Oiseh, the Creator, Shamayim, the heaven, V'oretz, and the earth. That everything what I have, the earthly things, Hashem help me. The spiritual things, which are Shemayim, heaven, is Hashem gave it to me. This, what I was successful in yeshiva, wasn't because I have a good mind. It's Hashem gave me that mind, and He gave me that opportunity that I could learn. And everything is up to Hashem. So if I throw my trust in Hashem, that will push me through. And that's what Yaakov was saying every night when he was in by love and by the sheep, that I'm looking to you, to Hashem. You're going to help me. So the Rebbe Nasicha says, why 15? What's special of 15? So the Chidah says that Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov lived in this physical world 15 years. Avram was 100 when Yitzchak was born. Yitzchak was 60 when Yaakov was born. So Avram was 160. Avram passed away when he was 175. So that means Yaakov was 15. So for 15 years, Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov lived together. So Yaakov knew on his own merit, he won't be able to overcome Lavan. He needs his merit, the merit of his father, and the merit of Avram. He's not doing it on his own, he can't do it. What's the difference from Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov? Avram served Hashem with chesed, with kindness, gemilas chasadim, right? Just got circumcised. He's standing by the door. What is he standing by the door? Waiting for who? For guests. Because he has to feed them. Now, why did he feed people? Avram opened up the first Chabad house. He gave people to eat. He gave him gefilte fish and shalt. And then they wanted to thank him. He said, don't thank me, thank who? Hashem had created heaven and earth. So Avram was there to do chesed, to spread Hashem in the entire world. So Avram served Hashem with chesed, with love, out of love. That's why when it came to the Akedah, it says, Ata yadaiti, now I know, ki rarely came ata, you fear Hashem. I mean, now you know. He was tested so many times. Now you know Avram fears Hashem. Hello, Avram is 137 years. It's because, like we say in davening, Avram Avinu had to hold back his mercy and to take that knife ready to what? To slaughter his son. So if he would only be able to serve Hashem out of love, he wouldn't be able to what? Do it. Once he showed that he had that, so he shows that he doesn't only serve Hashem with love, but he serves Hashem also with awe. But the main focus of Avram was what? Chesed. Yitzchak was the idea of a korban, what that represents Pachad Yitzchak, the awe of Yitzchak. Yitzchak served Hashem with Yira. We can talk a whole night, and the difference between Av and Yira is a chesed and gevurah. Chesed is someone needs something, you're there to help him. Gevurah, it means you're strict. What means you're strict? What do we find that Yitzchak did? Last week's Parsha, what do we find? The greatness of Yitzchak. He dug wells. My great-grandfather was a well digger and he got water. I mean, that's the greatness of Yitzchak. That's what the Torah has to tell us. What is the idea of a well? A well is you make a pit and you pour water into it. You dig and take away all the schmutz and all the rocks, and you want the water to rise. What is Gevurah? Gevurah is, Chesed is giving. Gevurah wants that the person should change and elevate himself and make himself a vessel and rise to the occasion, and then he'll be blessed. It's called Momaila Lamata or Mimata Lamaila. Yaakov was a combination of both. That's Rachman, compassion, mercy. So Yaakov, by Lavan, he had to have all these three things with him to be able to fight. So the Rebbe says that in Russia, when they started, in his time, when they had a war, so you had to have three battalions against one. And if you be able to have three against one, you what? You won that battle, because you attacked them from three sides. Saying the same thing in Kedusha, to attack every one aspect of negativity, you have to arouse not one, you have to arouse what? All three, the main three emotions. Love, fear, and mercy. And that's why Yaakov knew to overcome Lavan, it's not only his merit, he has to do the service of his father and his first service of what? His grandfather. And that's why 15 Shir HaMalos. I'm going from one to the other. But concept over here is, why was Yaakov so afraid? He wasn't afraid that Lavan is going to steal his sheep. He had to be up. He couldn't sleep. Lavan will steal his children and have the influence on his children. And he wasn't secure. And that's why he couldn't sleep. Because when Lavan ran after Yaakov, what did Lavan said? Hatzoin soini, the sheep is mine. Habonis benoisai, my daughters. Habonim bonai, my children. Habonis benoisai, everything is mine. Everything when you think it's mine. And Yaakov was afraid that what? He'll be sent empty-handed, not with money. He'll take away his children from him. So Yaakov had to be up, couldn't sleep, took care of the sheep, but he had to have his eye what's doing in his home. And he davened every night that the Eibusher should help him to overcome. And that's what Yaakov said to Lavan. If it wouldn't be for the God of my father Avram and the awe of Yitzhak, the God of Yitzhak, you would send me empty-handed. It's only my merit and the merit of my grandfather, my father. That's why I overcame the problem. Into modern times, what does it mean? That the Lavan says to Yaakov, listen, you want to daven, daven. You want to learn. You want to do mitzvahs, do mitzvahs. Keep Shabbos, kosher, kosher. But when it comes to business, I will tell you how to do the business. You want to make money, you have to know how to deal. We will teach you how to deal. You want to go into the outside world, you cannot go like Yankiv, go like Jack, or what? Be like sticking up like Yaakov. So Lavan was saying to Yaakov, you're an 84-year-old man, a 90-year-old man. Kids are young kids, going with your old ideas. It's mine, I'll tell them how to live. And that's what Yaakov was afraid of. And that's what the world is many times telling us. You want to do your stuff, do your stuff. But in the outside world, you have to follow us. And this is what the Parsha teaches us. No, we cannot follow you. We have a Torah. And we have to follow the Torah of Avram, of Yitzchak, of Yaakov, what the Eibishter wants from us. It's not easy, but we look to Hashem that you're going to help us, and to have that betachim that the Eibishter is there. So then, now Yaakov understood?
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So like Midrash says, when Yaakov was lying down, sleeping, and he had all these dreams, and he asked Hashem, like, so all these rocks are gonna fight, there are 12 frogs, they're gonna fight, I'm gonna have 12 kids, so if all of them are gonna be righteous, make them as one, right? So, and they all become one, for a different reason, explanation, but that's one of them. So why would he be afraid that something happened to these kids?
Because that was a dream and a promise, but with a promise alone, you won't work. You have to work on it. That means you have to have your own work. You cannot just say, Hashem promised me, and I can go to sleep. Understood? We have to put our effort in. We cannot say, we're relying on the Rebbe, relying on him, and everything will work out. We have to put our effort in. After Yaakov they're leaving, so Yaakov makes a wall between, right? Gal, they make a pile of stones. And Yaakov, they made the covenant that you are not going to come over to me to do any harm. I'm not going to go over to you to do any harm. So now the question is, if they want to make a separation, build a wall. So no one will come over to the other guy to harm the other fella. Build a solid wall, right? You don't want loving strangers coming into your territory. If you don't build a wall, then what means put a pile of stones? Just made a marker, and this is mine, this is yours. So here you build a stone. It's a separation. What type of a separation is it? We go a little deeper. In Sforim it says, Gal ha'ed hazeh, Gal is Gimel Lamed, represents Lag Ba'omer. Rashbin Shim Vayeitzei, Lag Ba'omer is also Lamed Gimel. Gimel's Gimel Lamed, Lamed Gimel. Now what does the pile of stones over here have to do with what? With Lag Ba'omer, with Rabbi Shimon Raichik. When we start thinking about Rabbi Shimon Raichik, we have another pasuk. Gal einai v'abitem of teres from the teresecha. Open up my eyes. A pasuk in Psalms in chapter 119, and I'll see the wonders of your Torah. So here's Gal is a pile of stones. Here Gal means to open up your eyes. I mean, what does A have to do with B? Because when we have to deal with Lavan, with the outside world, you have three ways how to deal with. Either you'll say, okay, the world is too strong for me. I'll separate myself from the world, live in a real religious community in Bnei Brak or Yerushalayim, have a wall between me and the world. I have nothing to do with the outside world. That's how I'm going to educate myself, my children, and everyone will be protected. I have to eat, and this, so a little bit will get involved. But like this, there is no what? There's no connection. Then I'm secure. What's wrong with that? Wrong with that is that Hashem created a whole world. If he only wanted that you to be very firm in your place, right? He has malachim who are very firm upstairs. He wanted to create an entire world, and he needs the entire world to be affected, to elevate, like we said, beyond its elevate the sparks, and make from the entire world a place for Hashem. The Mashiach will come. Then there's another person who says, okay, in my home, I'm okay. In shul, I'm okay. When I go in the outside world, I have to deal with them. So I know that I have a border, but the border won't last. The border will what? Will fall apart. And that's what it is. That's life. And I'll be affected by the outside world. But I'll try to keep as much as I could. Not to lose myself. That's also wrong. I mean, we have to be strong to influence the world, not to be influenced. Then there is the pile of stones. What is the pile of stones? There is a separation. I know what's in and what's out. But when I have to go out, I open up the pile of stones and I make a walkway to go out. Then when I come back, I close the pile of stones and I'm in. But how can I do it? Gal einai v'abitim eflois m'torasecha. If I don't take anything, we mentioned before about there's the wise person in the wagon, and there's the wagon driver, and there's the horse. If I realize I'm the wise, that I was created in the world, and I have the Rabbi Shimon Raichik, that means I'm learning the inner meanings of things, Hasidus, Kabbalah, concept of inner things, and I see that in the outside world there's a purpose why I am there to serve Hashem. And I see divine providence when I go outside into the outside world. So I open up my eyes and I see the wonders of Hashem, what He put in to Torah, and what I can utilize the world and how I could utilize it. Then I can go outside to the world, affect the world, and not be affected, and be able to go out and go in. But if I don't have that base, and I have the concept of either this way or that way, then it won't work. Because a person's going to have to live. So he's going to have somewhere, he's going to have connection with the world, and we won't know how to deal with it. And that's the greatness when the Rebbe Sichos, or how the Rebbe analyzes things, where the Rebbe gives us the Chassidus from Baal Shem Tov and so forth, how to analyze things in the outside world and how to stand strong. And when we learn like a Parsha Vayeitzei, a Vayeitzei, and then it's Vayishlach and Vayeshev, how to interpret it, to bring it in home to our own life, that the Torah, what we're learning, is not only a storybook, what happened, but it gives us guidance for now. So then I could go through the world and not only not be affected by it, but to affect the world and accomplish what my neshama came down to this world to accomplish, to make from the world a dwelling place for Him. But that's the only way that I have to be strong, because if I don't have that strength, then I'll fall. My father was the first shliach of the Rebbe, sent to California in 1949 with my mother, 6 weeks after they were married. California was not like it's not today. It was a little different. We went through my father's things, and when they were in Shanghai, talking about Yaakov begging the Hashem. So after my father passed away, we found, there's a lot of stories to tell. We found notes, what's called Pidyonis, what he wrote to the previous Rebbe, asking for a bracha. But he was in Shanghai. Shanghai was under the Japanese. The previous Rebbe was in America. You couldn't send letters from Shanghai to America. It didn't work. They wanted to send a telegram. And as Hasidim, they were very connected to the Rebbe, and they knew the Rebbe wasn't doing, and they wanted to know how the Rebbe is feeling. So they got from the Red Cross, we have a copy, 25 letters 25 words they could write through the Red Cross, and then it would be sent to 770 Eastern Parkway. And what was the 25 words? Was how is the Rebbe doing? And they're worried for him, and that the Rebbe should, remember them and so forth. And that's what they asked for. So we found out notes what my father asked. And my father, so what did they do? So Chassidim have it's handed down that if you write a note and you cannot give it to the Rebbe, you put it in one of a sefer of Chassidus. You read it and you put it, and that's like it's being sent. So we found a Tanya, not a whole Tanya. And after my father passed away, we found a Tanya. We found a package of these letters, what they asked for brachas. So one letter, it's short. It's my father's asking the Rebbe for a bracha that I she'amala kavonas yeridas nishmosi lamata, that I should fulfill the purpose why my neshama came to this world. That means my father was focused. It's a war, so forth, in Shanghai. Same thing when he came to America. He wrote to the Rebbe that the previous Rebbe should guide him for the purpose why Hashem brought him here to America. He was saved. He lost his father, mother, brothers, sisters. No one was alive. He's the only one alive. And he makes it to America, but what is he looking for? There's a purpose why Hashem wants me to be here. And that was his life. Dr. Dow can bring with you a lot about my father. But the concept is, that was Yaakov. Yaakov was looking for the purpose. I'm here by Lavan. I have to keep focused, and I have to dive into the Eibishter that I should be able to accomplish what I'm supposed to. And that's the lesson for us. That our neshama comes to this world, has a purpose. We shouldn't get lost with it. And those love him, and there's the outside world who want to what? Just eat us all up. And we have to be focused to what we're accomplishing is to make from this world a dwelling place for Hashem. We make the world a dwelling place for Hashem, Mashiach comes. Any questions? No.
Another question, but it's again about the Parsha. Why did Hashem waited for 84 years to put Rachel and Yaakov together?
I don't know Hashem's plans. There's a story told that one time that the Talmid HaMaggid was saying that if Hashem would give the key to the world, I would do it this way, I would do it that way. And they asked, the Rebbe said, I'll just leave it the way how it is. I mean, we don't know why. Why is it, we can only learn from it. If it's told us, it's told us, but that any other just tell a story what I just heard. Wherever we go, we have to remember that we have a mission. So there is a Hayom Yom. Hayom Yom is a book, a small booklet, what the Rebbe made. First thing what he made for every day, a saying for every day, and he put the Rebbe put it together. His father-in-law asked him to do it, and it's called Hayom Yom, day by day. So in Chai Elul, which is the birthday of the Baal Shem Tov, I'm not going in the Alter Rebbe, it's the different years. So there is a Yom Yom, a very long one. But the concept is that the Baal Shem Tov said that when you come to the land what Hashem gives you, that means a person has to know wherever we go is by divine providence. And the concept is to make from that place a place where Hashem is. How do we do it? With saying a bracha, a verse of Tehillim. So when we come to a place where we are there, the purpose is to bring Hashem's into that place, and to bring Hashem into that place is when you make a bracha, or you say a verse of Tehillim, you brought godliness in the place where you are. So it's one saying. To explain what a chassid is, my father used to go and collect money for the Rebbe. That was one of his things, and then he spoke with people. There was another chassid, Mendel Futterfass, and they went to San Diego. And this is and the driver was with Mendel Futterfass's grandson Shloimi. They used to go always to this rich man out of San Diego next to the Mexican border. So he's driving, and my father says, go, 4. He says, we're almost hitting the border. I said, just 4. And he says, make a left, make a right. They come to this big house. This person passed away. My father knocks on the door, and the person comes out, no one is here. I said, no, someone is here. The wife is here. And she's screaming, I don't want to see anyone. Okay. My father puts his foot by the door. He says, Rabbi, what do you want? She says, I have to go to the bathroom. Okay, he goes to the bathroom. He makes Hashiyatza. And then he leaves. So Mendel asks my father, why, what is this all about? So my father answered in Yiddish, and I say it in English, if you come to a Jewish home, they don't give you a glass of water to make a bracha. At least make a Asher Yatza, so you made a bracha in the Jewish home. So the concept, what the Rebbe writes, that to bring godliness is to make a bracha, any type of bracha. Either you make a shahaka with a burn nefesh, so you're going to end up making Asher Yatza. I mean, you stop somewhere and you may. So many times you get stuck and you stop somewhere and you went to the bathroom and you made a bracha over there. It could be the whole purpose why you had to stop at that place was to make that bracha. Even though that there's no Jews around and you cannot come everyone and tell a story that you met a guy far east and put on tefillin and you changed this person's life. Just making that bracha, you brought godliness. And it could be that place. I remember by Fabrengen, quite a few years ago, 1968. It was Yid Beis Thomas. The Rebbe said that the previous Rebbe was in jail, and he remembered a story that his father and mother, again, they went out of Lubavitch and they had to stop to daven mincha. So you cannot daven in an open field. So they found a place to daven. His father said, you see up there is a mountain, and it's a cave. So many years ago, my brother and myself had to travel, and we had to daven. We ended up in that cave, and that cave looked like with stones where you could sit, and there we davened. And the purpose of that cave was created was if a Jew will have to daven or have a place where he'll be able to go to daven. So the Rebbe said, so the thing was created 5,640 some years, waiting for the Jew to daven there. And that's why the purpose of it was created. If we have that in mind, that everything what we touch is a created that we have to serve Hashem, then life is entirely different. Okay. L'chaim on tea.
It was almost 70 years your father was sent on the ship.